The thing is that this is a menacing looking blade to someone who isn't familiar with knives. If they never heard of a karambit, the first time they see it, they're like, oh my god. And so you have to kind of be aware that a standard prosecution practice is to show the weapon in question to the jury, which would mean the knife or the gun that you use to defend yourself. So be aware, if you're not just knife, if you're carrying around a knife that looks scary, be aware that if you ever are in a situation where you have to defend yourself, be prepared for that prosecutor to be kind of waving it around, to trying to scare the jury into convicting you. Definitely I recommend knowing how to use whatever you're using to defend yourself, whether that be mace, whether that be a gun, whether that be a knife. Knowing how to use it will help you during being attacked, like during defending yourself. If you don't know how to shoot and aim a gun when you're defending yourself, you won't do it effectively. But knowing when to pull that knife is very important, because that can be the difference between, if you get charged, that could be the difference between you going to prison or being acquitted.
I want you to look at something real quick. Hopefully it will be quick. Did you enjoy that? Cool. All of those knives that I just showed you, which is about 70% of what I own, I just kind of like hand-pick them at random. They have the ability to do the same thing. They can cut paper, they can cut boxes, they can cut flesh, they can cut meat. They're knives. They're made to cut. But there's a difference. Which one stood out in your head? Which one is in your memory? And it may be safe to say that the one that stuck out in your head was the most tactical, the most aggressive, the most lethal looking. Now, where did that seed come from that's planted in our head? That makes us gravitate towards cool knives. Knives that look, our testosterone. Could be just a man thing. Don't know. Now, all this came to mind as a video I saw the other day, put out by the Ultimate Knife in Funker Tactical, and it's titled "The Edge of Defense: A Karambit Saved My Life." This is part 1. There are 2 parts to it. There are actually 3, but the third part is a copy of the part 2, so I don't know. That video, along with a comment that Jesse Holshalter, it's a hard one, put out. He made a comment on one of my videos on on this Karambit, and he said definitely does the job, great EDC, best part of how unassuming it really is. Unlike Lynn Thompson pulling out a 10-inch Vaquero XL and talking about a pocket sword. And that planted another seed, and that's what spurred on this video here. The other is this Jarrad Ha that is the star, for lack of a proper word, on this Edge of Defense of Karambit Saved My Life. He had to go to court, and it's something that I think a lot of people very seldom think about when it comes to knives, guns, or anything else. Getting back to all the knives that I showed you about, which one stuck out in your head. On a knife that you choose to use for everyday carry, you know, cutting boxes, if you need to use that knife in self-defense, and you do use it, that knife is going to be shown to a jury. And it's going to be waved around over and over and over again. It would probably be safe to say that every video on the internet of that knife being used could be brought up in court to make you look more of a foaming at the mouth, knife wielding killer. You take this tie light, this cold steel tie light. If you look for videos on this cold steel tie light, I bet you're gonna see Lynn Thompson somewhere cutting into cows, slicing into flesh, mutilating the human form. Is that the stigma that you want attached to your knife when you have to use this and you go to court? Is it? Think about that.